This is Iraq, a treasure trove of thousands of years of history and countless natural resources. For centuries, Iraq has been a crossroads of many major human civilizations, and it is believed that agriculture, language, mathematics, and engineering all originated here. Iraq is mentioned in the world's major religions and historical texts. Babylon, also known as Babel, was the most developed and prosperous city around 2,500 years ago. This city is known for its unique examples of engineering, and researchers are still trying to unravel the mysteries of its hanging gardens. This place is also included among the 7 wonders of the world. In this context, why has a country that has been a center of various civilizations and cultures for thousands of years become a victim of war, communal violence, and instability today? For the past 100 years, Iraq has been facing continuous instability, and an endless conflict has been raging here. Currently, Iraq is governed by 5 different groups. Central and southern Iraq, including the area around Baghdad and the Iranian border, is under the control of Shia groups. Northern Iraq is under Kurdish Peshmerga control, where Erbil, Suleymania, and Dohuk form a completely self-sufficient region known as Iraqi Kurdistan, with its own government and army. Western Iraq, particularly Anbar province, is controlled by Sunni tribal groups. These groups support the central government but enforce their own rules in their regions. The area from Baghdad to Basra and Karbala is under the control of the Iraqi federal government, headed by Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani. Meanwhile, ISIS occupies the northwestern mountainous areas along the border with Syria. Despite being the birthplace of human innovation with extraordinary resources and incredible locations, why is this place a victim of such great division today? The geographic location of Iraq, its historical background, politics, and the significant role of world superpowers play a huge part in this. In today's video, we are going to tell you an untold story of Iraq. Please subscribe to the channel so that you can receive notifications for new videos. I work hard to create videos, but sometimes the reach is less, so please do subscribe to the channel. Now, let's move on to the geographic situation of Iraq. Today, Iraq shares borders with 6 countries: Iran to the east, Kuwait to the southeast, Saudi Arabia to the south, Jordan to the west, Syria to the northwest, and Turkey to the north. Most of its territory is mountainous, especially in the western and southern areas. But through these mountains flow 2 major rivers that have been the basis of civilizations here for thousands of years: the Tigris and the Euphrates. Both of these rivers originate in Turkey, enter Iraq, and flow into the Persian Gulf. These rivers are considered the lifeline of Iraq, but there is also tension regarding these rivers between Iraq, Syria, and Turkey. Turkey has built dams on the Euphrates and Tigris, reducing Iraq's water flow, leading to diplomatic tensions between the 2 countries. Speaking of Iraq's natural resources, Iraq has some of the largest oil and natural gas reserves in the world. Interestingly, all this oil is found in the Shia majority region around Basra, while the northern part consists of Kurdish majority areas. This is also one reason for the ongoing civil war in Iraq. We have only discussed the basic geographic structure of Iraq so far. Now we are going to move towards the root causes of Iraq's problems, for which we need to go back in history. Iraq is first mentioned 5,000 years ago during the Sumerian civilization when it was known as Mesopotamia. It was the Sumerian civilization that established the foundations of astronomy, mathematics, and administration here. From 2334 BC to 2154 BC, this area was famous as Mesopotamia, which included present-day Iraq, parts of Iran, Syria, and Turkey. After that, until 2154 BC, this area was part of the Akkadian Empire. Then, by 539 BC, the entire region became the center of the Babylonian Empire, which was the most powerful empire of that time. After the construction of the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, this region became part of the Abbasid Caliphate from the 8th to the 13th centuries, a period also known as the Islamic Golden Age. During this time, Baghdad emerged as a major center of knowledge, trade, and innovation in the world. Scholars from all over the world came to Baghdad, where Persian, Greek, and Indian knowledge was translated into Arabic. Today, it is hard to imagine that Baghdad, which was once marred by stains such as war and gang rape, was the city from which the European Renaissance began. However, in the 13th century, the Mongols devastated this city. From the 13th to the 15th centuries, this area remained part of the Mongol Empire and other smaller empires. From the 16th to the 20th centuries, this region came under the Ottoman Empire, which was significant as it served as a crucial link between the East and West. Then, after the fall of the Ottoman Empire following World War I, European colonial empires seized the opportunity and divided this region for their own interests. The British Empire created artificial borders here and partitioned it into Turkey, Syria, Iran, and Iraq. This division was made without any thoughtful planning. Britain incorporated these three provinces into Iraq despite their very different demographics. For instance, Mosul had a predominantly Kurdish population, while Shia Arabs, Sunni Arabs, and Kurds were in the northern regions. Similarly, Kuwait, which was previously part of Iraq, was separated from it. The ground realities were completely ignored. As a consequence of these British decisions, Iraq suffered adverse effects for the next 100 years. In 1932, Iraq gained independence from British control, but its oil industry remained under British control. From the 1930s until the end of the 1970s, Iraq was plagued by political instability and military coups. Eventually, in 1979, Saddam Hussein emerged as the real ruler of Iraq. Saddam promoted Sunni ideology and suppressed the Shia community, resulting in the Iran-Iraq War between 1980 and 1988, which was perhaps the deadliest conflict in Middle Eastern history. We have also prepared a video on this. Then, in 1990, Saddam invaded Kuwait, after which Iraq was pushed into the Gulf War. As a result, Iraq faced numerous sanctions and severe damage to its economy. In 2003, the United States invaded Iraq and ousted Saddam's government. Saddam's departure created a power vacuum, leading to the onset of a dark era in Iraq. After Saddam's defeat, thousands of Sunni soldiers became unemployed and saw the newly empowered Shia groups taking advantage of the situation. These Sunni commanders were extremely angry, which was exploited by Abu Musab al-Zarqawi, who succeeded in forming a group known as al-Qaeda. This group had only two objectives: one, to expel the Americans from Iraq, and the other, to topple the new Shia government and bring about a Sunni-majority government. Following this, a horrific civil war began in Iraq. There is no other example of such a scenario. Sunni, Shia, and Kurdish groups were fighting against each other for their own gain, leading to thousands of deaths. All three groups received support from external forces, and I will explain which group supported whom and why. After al-Zarqawi was killed in 2006, al-Qaeda renamed itself the Islamic State of Iraq, ISI. Then, in 2010, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi led ISI, and at that time a civil war also erupted in Syria, which this group fully exploited. Now, people from Syria also began joining ISI, and therefore in 2013, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi renamed ISI to ISIS, Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. In 2014, ISIS captured several areas in northern and western Iraq, including Mosul. The capture of Mosul, which is Iraq's second-largest city, could have soon strengthened ISIS's grip on the rest of Iraq. This raised concerns for Saudi Arabia and other Gulf countries, as if such a radical group began to rule in Iraq, it would threaten the security of other Gulf nations. There could have been danger as well. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and UAE collectively activated the United States, and in 2014 the US began the fight against ISIS, alongside the Kurdish, Shia, and local tribal fighters in Iraq, which ended in 2017, when ISIS was defeated and Mosul was liberated, leading to the establishment of a Shia-majority central government in Iraq. Since then, the situation in Iraq has remained as described at the beginning of the video. Iraq is now divided into 5 groups, with each group backed by some foreign power. Iran, which shares the longest border with Iraq, supports many Shia groups, including PMF. Iran also has significant influence in Iraq's central government. Now, regarding Turkey, it has a complex relationship. It accepts the Kurdish Peshmerga government present in northern Iraq, but is against an independent Kurdish state. It fears that if the Kurds in Iraq gain independence, living in Turkey will also demand a separate country, which could lead Turkey to lose part of its territory. Therefore, Turkey bombards some Kurdish liberation groups in northern Iraq, such as the PKK, while also financially supporting the Kurdish Peshmerga, as it aids in defeating ISIS. The US, despite having departed, is still deeply involved in Iraq for reasons such as the oil resources, Iranian influence, and ISIS. Some other global powers, including China and Russia, also have interests in Iraq. China is making significant investments in Iraq's infrastructure due to its Belt and Road Initiative, While Russia's interest stems from its high stakes in Syria, and where the US is present, Russia will assert its involvement as well. Altogether, Iraq finds itself in a very complex situation, rooted in the borders established after World War I. Today, Iraq is so deeply divided internally that no group or foreign country can establish peace there. Either the borders created 100 years ago must be overturned, or significant changes must be made in society to eliminate the hatred among Iraqis. 60% of Iraq's population is young, and for their future, all major leaders in Iraq need to come together to make decisions. Until there is peace in Iraq, the Middle East cannot move forward. Iraq, like the Israel-Palestine issue, is another flashpoint in the world, and without resolving it, the problems of the Middle East cannot be solved. If you liked the video, please subscribe to the channel. We will meet in the next video with another topic. Take care, Allah Hafiz.